Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is the 28th of July, and this is the Pylon Show number 135. It's going to be a shorter edition. Last week, we spoiled you guys, but we had the three big guns on, and they were bantering, and I know it was awesome, but we can't have that each and every single week because then it's not special anymore. But obviously, we have the DreamHack Masters today, so it was actually kind of hard to find a moment to make the Pylon Show happen. But there is still a lot to talk about because we had all the qualifiers for the DreamHack Masters and, of course, the groups. So I thought it would still be fun to do a little mini Pylon Show edition. Just talk about all the greatness of SE2 that comes your way in the upcoming weeks. I'm, of course, Kevin van der Kooi, also known as Rotterdam, and I've got a couple of really fun guests. I'm actually excited. People that we haven't seen in a while. Well, one person we do see literally all the time is Statfest. Thank you so much for joining me, Statfest. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. It is 7:20 a.m. my time, so I'm, bright and early. Got that nice, raspy morning voice. Happy to be back, and yeah, looking forward to talking shop.
I know that you've been covering a lot of the qualies, so it's gonna be fine. Baby Marine, are you sitting in the living room, amigo? Like, what do I hear in the background?
There's a lot of noise, because I can say to them to shut up, but my room is very open,
Okay.
It's not
All right, well,
a room I don't know. It's a weird room, but it's my room. I don't know.
it looks cool, and it's better than that sun that Raynor has in the background. So you've got that going on, you big bro. Anyway, time for a proper intro. For the very first time, I believe, we've got the younger brother of Raynor, and of course, a proud Team Roddy member, Baby Marine, on the show. What's up, Baby Marine?
I'm pretty good. I honestly this is my first time, so I think it's very fun. So yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be easy to talk about the DreamHack qualifiers. Not too
Yeah,
disappointed.
I'm sad about my performance, but still, I think I could have qualified, but a bit unlucky with the games, and against Protoss I'm not really good. So, and Proxy Void Ray, I don't know how to hold this still, but yeah.
Well, we've got one man in the talk as well that can maybe help you about that a little bit. But first of all, thank you so much for joining. It was all very last minute for these guys, so I really appreciate it. And last but not least, we've got one of the guys that will participate in the DreamHack Masters, someone that I know is not very fond of talk shows to begin with. So, Alexi, thank you so much for joining us. How are we doing, Marine Lloyd?
I'm doing good. I wanted to practice this morning, but I couldn't find anyone, so let's just do a talk show.
I mean, you can always play some ladder games. I'm sure you got a bunch of protos in your group, right?
I've got 3, but yeah, I don't really like ladders. I want to let them die with each other, only PvPs, and I'm just playing custom games right now.
All right, well, guys, let's just go ahead and dive into some of the things that happened last week. I believe that we are going to kick things off with the weeklies. I always like to start the show and take a look at what happened in the 3 big European tournaments. And the weeklies were fireworks this week. What do you got for me first, Cobra? What is our first weekly that we are going to cover? Because so good. It's still very early for Cobra as well. So guys at home, go easy on him. Probably like 4 a.m. or something along those lines. Yeah, obviously it's not our ideal scenario to have a pilot show this early, guys, but I'm actually casting DreamHack myself later today and doing it after DreamHack. That's not really an option because then it's going to be 2 a.m. and it will literally be impossible to get any European on. Baby Marine, your mic will still go live if you talk like that. So
Really? I muted. What?
Okay.
So you hear me on Discord, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, obviously, these are the 3 big things that are happening at the moment. We've got the ESL Cups. We have GSL, the finals coming up. We'll talk a little bit about that. And of course, the big one starting today is the new season of the DreamHack Masters Fall. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the weeklies. We're gonna kick things off talking about maybe the Korean weekly, apparently. Statfest, did you cover the Korean weekly?
I did. It honestly, it's so for a while it was kind of smallish. A lot of the Koreans were, I think, late to realize that it switched over, but since then it's been gaining steam. We're up to now consistently 40, 45 check-ins, and you can see, looking at the brackets, incredible players across the board. Gumiho is looking really, really good. He beat Dongregu and Linok with mech, and he beat them like hard with mech. MaxPax was the first non-Korean to make it to a top 4. So that's a huge result for him.
That's
And
sick.
he just fell shy of beating Creator in the semifinal.
Oh my god, what a run. We're fighting back. They stole our prize money last week, but Maxi Paxi, we should just send him over. I had no idea. Wow, making it to the semifinals while playing from Europe on the Korean server. He's like, hey, Q, I saw what you did on Europe. I think I can do the same to Korea. That's amazing. I was like, wow, he made quarterfinals. That's money. I was like, oh my god, he made semifinals. That is insane. I mean, you talk about Gumyo. I don't just see that 2-1 over Dongregu and the 2-1 over Linok, which is impressive. I also see a 2-0 over Hero there. What do you make of that?
I watched the game. I don't know. It's TVP. It's always pretty weird. Like you can get some build-order wins, and I feel like in Korea they gamble a lot more than in Europe. So you don't have like some solid games, and you have a lot of quick wins. So it was 2 quick games, and I don't know. You just played pretty well. I think Kumio is pretty good, and especially against Curie, he did pretty well, right? He did it 3-2. He lost 3-2.
Yeah.
And I saw the game. It was pretty. Yeah. I don't know. He's getting good for sure. But I still don't believe in his TVZ. I still like if you play mech in TVZ, you just lose against the big boy all the time. So I think it's a waste of time to practice that.
I mean, this was already Cura's 5th victory in the 2nd season, so to speak, of the Korean Weekly. It's pretty impressive because nobody else managed to win more than 2. Only Dark and Zest got 2 victories. Cure getting 5 already. Are we studying those games, Baby Marine?
Yeah, I honestly didn't expect Gumio to do that well. And yeah, what was the question? Sorry, what did you ask me?
Are you studying the games of Cure because he seems to be dominating the Korean Weekly?
Yeah, honestly, like, yeah, Cure is very good. And yeah, against Kumio he did well, against Creator. So yeah, I'm expecting Cure to win against those guys. And yeah, I didn't expect Kumio, as I said, because again, DRG is honestly very good, and Linok is also good. So yeah.
You had one more thing you wanted to say about the Korean Weekly Setfest?
Yeah, Cure has been, it's not just like the Korean Cups. He has been absolutely annihilating these online cups. Like for the last 5 weeks, across I guess all 15 cups, he's won like he's won more than half of them. Like I think he's won 9 or 10 of them. It might be 8, but like he's basically qualifying for IEM through these cups. Like we were like Hero Marine was so good in the previous ones, but of course he was only playing Europe, and now Kira is actually racking up so many points from these and making so much money just from these open cups. It's really insane to see, but we'll see that obviously on the further updates.
The Korean Gape. This is what we can call him. Let's take a look at the other weekly. Are we going to hop into America? Nope. We're going to talk about the European weekly, and that's obviously okay. Or we're going to talk about NA. That's fine too. Let's go with NA then. All right, because we were talking about Cure anyway, so we may as well continue talking about Cure. We can see that he won the American weekly too. He actually tried to win all 3. The sicko. He was playing Europe as well. But yeah, winning 2 out of 3. The American one seemed to be a little bit easier for him. Getting Vanya in the semis, Armani in the grand final. Marino, did you catch any of the American weekly this week?
Yeah, I watched pretty much every Korean game. So I watched Cure against Vanilla and Cure against was it Harmony? Yeah. I don't know. Like the game were pretty quick again. He's just better than them, so it's not like very inspiring, right? It's more like fun when he plays against Reno or Serral, obviously. But yeah, just he is very good right now, and I mean he did very well in TSL, right? So it's kind of showing in the big tournaments too that he's very good, but maybe not as much as he should be. So I hope in the future he will get some semi-final.
MaxPack's also making it into the quarterfinals on America, so MaxPack's also really going for it, playing all 3 of the weeklies. But Vanya getting a surprising 2-1. Did you catch any of those games, Statfest?
Yeah, I actually casted those games, and game 3 was one of the craziest. Like people say this all the time, but it was genuinely one of the craziest games I've ever seen. Because it was a cannon rush, a double cannon rush from max packs, and he canceled the natural and the third. And then Vanya went for a proxy hatch and did like a queen walk off of that. And it was like the most tense game for like 11 minutes where they're both on sub, like 25 workers. And it was a very entertaining game. Completely bananas bonkers, but they were playing like the ESL Open NA, so they had to follow the rules of NA, right? Like it had to be a baboon game. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Other than that, also nice to see, no pun intended, Nice to make another deep run. Because I'm actually kind of a fan of Nice. I feel like the Taiwanese guys, they get a bit overlooked because they're not really part of the Korean scene. And then it also feels like they're not really part of the European scene. But I think Nice is a very solid competitor. And I've said this before, but I kind of wish that like Nice and Haas would just take a long-ass holiday in Europe. Because I would love to see them play against the Europeans for quite some time with no ping. I think it would give us a lot of very fun games. So congrats to him for making it to the semifinals. I think we can just move on because we can talk about the one that obviously stood out this week, and that is the European Pro Tour Weekly. Last week was a dark day in the history of European StarCraft, where for the first time in 80 weeks, it was not a European winning the European Pro Tour Weekly. Well, I guess Neep has won an EU Weekly, but it was a Korean playing from Korea on the European server. And Rainer already said on the Pylon show last week, it was an embarrassment. He wants to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. Well, it didn't happen, but he also didn't win it. Let's start off with you, Baby Marine. Did you watch the games of your big bro in the grand final against Clem? I think you're muted.
On.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I watched the finals and they were pretty close, the games. I liked them a lot. And especially I liked because Rainer was run by all the games, like all the time. So yeah, I like the style when he did that. And yeah, and Clem also played well in TVZ. Of course, he plays always good. So yeah, the finals were amazing to me. I always like to watch Rainer versus Clem. So yeah.
So when you're watching the final, right, and you're obviously you're cheering for your bro, but on the other end you're a Terran, and you also want to see some cool stuff from Clem. What are your thoughts going into that final? Are you full on out on Rainer, or do you also hope to see some Terran magic?
Honestly, like I'm cheering, of course, for my brother, but I'm cheering for him to win, of course. But I also like to watch like the Terran games. Here for the Terran, but so Clem could reach.
What?
Happened.
I don't know what happened. It felt like I heard Rainer all of a sudden.
Really?
Yeah.
They have the same voice, to be honest.
What the hell?
No, there was a little hiccup, but it's all good. All right. Marine Lord, did you see the grand final? What did you make of the games?
I mean, it's Clem against Raynor. I like that Raynor gave a good fight this time, because usually, like, recently I feel like Raynor is getting butchered by Clem. Like, it's not very close sometimes, but all 5 games were pretty good. So I feel like if they play against in WCS, I won't, like, tell that Clem is favored, you know?
EPT, Marine Lord, get with the times.
EPT, yeah. No, yeah, I feel like they're pretty close fight right now, so it's pretty fun to watch. But what I liked was Clem winning in TVP. Like, he destroyed everyone in TVP, and it was not close. So I feel like recently he lost a lot in this matchup. But maybe he's back in back to win everything again when it comes to TVP and TVT.
He actually beat the 2 protesters that beat him in a couple of the previous editions, because Lilbao got him once and Maxi Paxi also got him once. Yeah, I already told Clem in the interview that I had on Monday night when my internet disconnected. I was like, hey man, do me a favor. Grab those 6 replays, put them in a nice little replay pack, and send them over to Benjamin Baker, you know? Because my good friend Benjamin, he's been struggling a little bit. He's been complaining a lot. Yeah, it's obviously good to see. I have one last question for you, Baby Marine, before we head into StatFest. Did Rainer play those games from a different location? Is he currently out of the house?
He's currently here, but yesterday he was at his girlfriend's house. So, yeah, I think the ping is pretty good still there. So, it wasn't a big of a problem, in my opinion, but I didn't ask him that much.
Yeah, okay. Because he did tell me, like, he sent me a little whisper saying, like, I think I played the best I could from this setup. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess he was not playing from home.
Yeah.
And that will still have a little bit of an impact. I guess some people are less picky about it than others, but I know, like, At my own desk, if everything feels right, I feel like sometimes I'm pretty good. But you put me elsewhere, and I'm like, how do you play this game, man? Like I don't even know how to split. Steadfast. Other than our amazing grand final, what else stood out for you in the European Pro Tour Weekly?
Yeah, the grand finals was a great story because you had Rainer, who has, I think that's his 9th loss in a best of 3 or 5 or 7 versus Clem in a row. So it was really, really close. But you also had Clem, who hasn't won a weekly cup in like 9 weeks. So something had to give right there, and it was like insanely close, super down to the wire. Really, really, really great series. So it was cool to see Clem return to form. I mean, like, it's weird to say that because like he's still so insanely good. People are just like, "What do you mean he didn't beat Dark? Like, oh, he didn't beat the best player in the world every single day." And I think people forget that he's still so young and he's still like got to develop as a player. But yeah, no, it was incredible. There were some really cool storylines throughout this. This isn't actually shown here, but a player named Filibuster took a game off of Hero in this tournament. And Filibuster is he's a guy who hangs out in my chat, and he's a cool dude. He's got some like funky builds. That was pretty cool. On like a smaller note, we had an insanely good series between Euthermal and Cure, where Euthermal, it really felt like he had that one in the bag. But Cure came in with like 2 clutch run bys, and killed both of Euthermal's bases, while Euthermal was like moving out for a death push in game 3. And then the push ended up like getting held because Euthermal got delayed and all this stuff. But it like this was just a set of incredible games, like pretty much top to bottom. As well, shout out to Skillis taking down Showtime. That's promising for him moving into his groups. Like there was
with all those Protoses.
yeah, right. I'm just like I just feel so lucky every single time to cast the European weeklies, because once you get, honestly, like even from the start, there's usually some good matches, but once you get to like the round of 32, you can't find a bad match. Like you have to go out of your way to find something that's even just, like a 6 out of 10. Like everything's a banger. It's amazing.
I'm with you. I thought this was a very fun edition of the European Pro Tour Weekly. Baby Marine, were you happy for Cuckoo? Because that was Cuckoo's best performance up to date.
Yeah, I think he did very well. And yeah, also I watched the games of my brother against Cuckoo, and he told me that you forced him to play Protoss.
I did not force him to play Protoss. Okay, I was like, are we gonna get some off race action? Because I was actually kind of sad. Like Cuckoo had his best run, he's never made it to the round of 16. And even though for a lot of casual viewers, it may be like not a big deal because if you don't win it or you don't make semifinal, who cares? But for the young players, like getting your personal best, that is a really big stepping stone, and then you can just move forward from there. But then when in his very first time round of 16, he gets a Rainer, I'm like, hey. Give me some upgrades. I tried to make him play TVT, but I feel like he wasn't feeling that. So he's like, I can play one game of Protoss, and then because he won the first, he also played Protoss in the second game. I thought it was good to see Cuckoo having an amazing run. Also beating Zhuge in the round of 64, who's obviously a pretty good player too. I think overall it was a solid weekly. I mean, big shout out to Cure, of course, for winning Korea, winning NA, and semifinals in Europe. It's like Marine Lord, he's stacking up the money, man. Like, when are you gonna when are you gonna fight back?
I don't know. Like, I don't understand when he sleeps, actually. Like, what's the schedule for him? It's pretty crazy, no? Same for MaxPax, actually. They both play the 3 cups. So I don't really know, like, how they do it.
Well, the Korean one obviously happens on a Saturday, so I guess that
Yeah.
doesn't change too much.
Doubts.
And I guess they roll out of bed right before the European Pro Tour Weekly starts. It starts at... I have barking chihuahuas in my living room. Nice. Thanks, Mom. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, I guess they wake up right before the European Weekly and then just pull a massive all-nighter. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was it for the weeklies. We obviously don't have an insane amount of time today, so we got to move on, and we have to cover the big one that starts today, which is the DreamHack SC2 Masters 2021. As you guys can see, the groups starting today. But before we dive into that, I definitely want to talk a little bit about the qualifiers. So, Cobra, I know it takes a little bit for you, but we can definitely start off maybe talking about the European closed qualifier. We, of course, have always an open qualifier, another open qualifier, and a closed qualifier. I think the good thing about this is that the best players are pretty much always going to make it. The bad thing about this is that there is not that much room for upsets. And I believe we've only had 2 new players make it into the DreamHack season this season that were not part of the lineup last season. And I do think that sucks a little bit. Would have been awesome to see a few more new faces, but let's just go ahead and dive into it. Was there anyone, Marino, that you really expected to qualify for this season of the DreamHack Masters that didn't make it?
Only Lilbo, to be honest. The rest, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, but he did
Christian,
make it.
yeah, he did make it. Otherwise, yeah, no upset for me. Maybe B actually. B is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But who did he play? He played Stefano and
Yeah, in the final round, indeed, he played Stefano. We can take a look at who he played in the upper bracket. If
he lost to Strange. I remember. Yeah, I
Oh,
think.
yeah,
But
that
Strange
was his
against B is
opening
pretty
match.
even. So, but yeah, I feel like B is pretty much like a Denver or Vanilla right now in TVZ. Maybe he's not as good in PVZ and ZVZ, but I felt like he would qualify.
Mm-hmm. Statfest, any upsets for you in the European qualifier?
I mean, tons. There's always crazy matches here. I'm excited to see a couple of new. Actually, I guess there's not that many new faces. I was excited to see some players come very close to qualifying. Pappy came very, very close. He got down to the wire. Sad he didn't make it through, but I'm excited about what he's doing. For Jumi came very close as well, including very close to taking the series off Denver, like very, very close.
Yeah.
Which was very cool to see.
You saw that game 3 as well, right? Between Jumi and Denver.
I did, yeah. I was covering that one. That was a.
Can you explain to me how that game went on for 28 minutes? Because I'm pretty sure that game was supposed to end when the Roaches and the Ravages and Queens showed up in the natural for Jumi at minute 4.
Yeah, it did not make any sense. Like, the probes got pulled, and I was like, oh, like, Jumi's dead. Like, he's just completely dead. And then the probes, like, they, like, killed everything, and I was like, okay, but he's still dead, though, because, like, he's, like, super down in workers. And then somehow, like, the game went on, and then it just turned into, like, this super insane long macro game. I gotta say, I like for Jumi's like a teammate, he's a really cool dude, and like he's like we get along really well. But like I'm like happy for Denver's mentality that he made it through, because like I don't know, like that would have been really rough. Like whenever you feel as though you're going to beat a player and then you lose in a really important match, that can be rough for people who have the strongest mentality. And yeah, it's very difficult, very, very difficult. So it would have been I think rough for him to make a run back through the lower bracket. But as it was, yeah, he did eventually qualify through. And then there was one match that was really, really cool up in the upper bracket. Yeah, it's just getting scrolled past right now. Shadown versus Stefano. Stefano had a 2-0 lead versus Shadown and was like winning game 3. And then Shadown was just like, no. And he just reverse swept him in unbelievable games, like really, really good games. And it's just, once again, it's such a treat to be able to watch and because like I'm not just casting the games, I'm watching the games, so I'm just fanboying out as all this is happening.
Same for me. Like I'm really involved in some of the storylines. I was kind of hoping that Battle Booty would make it, or Battle B, we should call him. But I'd like to call him Battle Booty, because last season obviously was a big disappointment for him. He didn't even make it into the close qualifier, and that's not easy. For instance, I had to play spots in the final round of my close qualifier. That's not very nice. Unfortunately, for spots, he ran into some Zergs, and that's his weakest matchup in the close qualifier. So he could not qualify to DreamHack for the second time in his career. But I really thought that Battle B would have a decent shot against Denver. What did you think, Baby Marine?
Yeah, I think he plays pretty good. He got improved very fast, I think, and yeah, I think he had I think he had a chance to qualify, but of course Denver is pretty good. And yeah, I was a bit surprised that Denver like lost to Lilbo 3-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was a bit surprised of that, but for the rest, I think it was pretty obvious. So yeah, there weren't
Marino,
pretty there weren't upsets for me.
No, there weren't too many upsets overall. How close are you to Lilbao these days, Marino?
Oh, pretty close.
All right. How good do you think he is, and how do you think he's gonna do in the main event?
I think he's doing some peak Lilbo right now. So like, what is he doing? He plays an RTS. He looks at the RTS and he's like, what is the easiest thing to do? He takes it and he makes it good. And then he's doing the most unskilled thing he can do and he wins. It was pretty insane actually in PvZ against Denver. It's like he just does a build and he does a push and he kills the guy. And it looks the same in PvT sometimes. He just kills me on 3 base for no reason and like, okay, whatever, go next.
Are you impressed by the level that he managed to get? I want to say so quick, but to be fair, he has been playing for quite some time now again, right? How long would you say he's been quote unquote back? Is it like 7-8 months at this point, or?
Maybe 9 months, I think. Maybe 9 to
Yeah.
10. I would say end of the last year. So yeah. I mean, I don't know. He's Protoss, so it helps a little bit.
I knew
feel
you
like
were gonna say that.
okay. What I can say is that mech and Protoss are the same thing. Like you don't need good mechanics, so you don't need to practice on this aspect. You just need to know what to do and like when to do it. So if you have very good game knowledge, it's enough to play Protoss or mech right now. And I think Lilbo is very good at that. He is good at taking good decisions and learning the game quickly.
All right. I apparently made the same mistake as I made last week, where my gain was way too high. Damn it, Cobra, I only saw that message now. That's because of that stupid Zoom call I have on the Tuesday night. It's the only thing in the week where I have to turn my gain all the way up. So I apologize if my microphone had terrible quality in the first 45 minutes of this, guys. Just forgive me. But yes, I think that's kind of it for the European qualifier. Maybe since you have this tab open right now, we could take a quick look at the NA close qualifier as well, Cobra. Be nice to show some love to the NA
NA
boys. NA Lil. We'll talk more about the actual groups, of course, if Europe a bit later. Yeah, that was the open qualifier, one on Friday, but it was bullshit. Who the hell? How do I get spots? And I did like whoever mentioned Papi. I think it was you, right, Statfest?
Yeah.
Yeah, this poor guy now 2 seasons in a row. He was 1 map away from qualifying for DreamHack. That's gotta sting. All right, take a look at you can just show the close qualifier scroll all the way to the bottom, because the open qualifiers, I'm not gonna shit on NA, guys. I like NA. I love NA StarCraft.
NA
And I
lul.
think, and then the main event is fun, but the open qualifiers, it's a little bit rough to watch. So these were the close qualifiers, and I gotta say, I'll let you go first, Statfest, because maybe this is a bit of your region. I was a bit surprised by some of the old school names being as convincing as they actually were.
Yeah. I would say. I would say specifically, you're talking about probably 2 players. Masa coming in and just dumpstering his way through the closed qualifier, despite the fact that. So to be fair, this is something he's done for his entire career. He'll be like, yeah, I haven't touched the game in 10 months. And then it'll be like, okay, cool. And he's like, yeah, I just like won a local tournament without dropping a map. And it's like, oh, what do you mean by local tournament? It's like, well, like Semper and Scarlet were there and Neeb. And it's like, okay, well, that's like not that local of a tournament. Like these are world-class players still. Now, obviously, like it's still impressive that he's doing it now, but like to do that 8 years later when he has a full-time job, he doesn't play all that much is pretty impressive. Same thing with Jon Snow. That was a good showing from him. Very wacky ZVZ between him and BioIce. That was definitely an NA lull for sure. But seeing M. Canning making it back through, like I was worried. I was worried that he wasn't going to make it through because he brings so much personality. But he just showed up and just absolutely stomped it through on the lower bracket, which was good to see.
Are you going on the record and telling us that you were doubting Decan?
No way.
I mean, if you watch my cast, you'll see that I'm very biased in his favor. So
okay. Reload, when you saw these results and you took a look at the 8 players that qualified, were you surprised by anything? And do you have the passion to watch anything of an NA close qualifier?
No, but I'm surprised over Future not qualifying. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He lost to Semper and to Rob, so unlucky, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't practice a lot, I feel, but he's still a solid player usually. And that's
I like that you bring that up, because I think that's one of the biggest storylines of this entire qualifier. Because not too long ago, it almost felt that Future was part of the big 4 of NA, right? When you had like Neeb, Scarlet, and then you had Australia, and then you had Future. So the fact that Future is not part of DreamHack anymore at all, that is definitely a pretty big upset. I had the pleasure or the pain, call it how you want it, to cast the final best of 5 between Rob and Epic. And Marine Lord, I feel like you should watch it, mate. I think you'd enjoy that series.
Watching NA StarCraft, no thanks.
All right, let me just give you the summary. Void Ray all in win, Void Ray all in win, somewhat normal game lose, somewhat normal game, or actually third game Void Ray but gets blind counted, so actually did not work at all. And then tried to one base all in over one base 5 gate. So failed Void Ray all in into one base 5 gate. Almost got it, by the way. And then Epic wins a relatively normal game 4. I'm like, there's no way we ain't Void Ray in game 5. And we did Void Ray in game 5.
I don't know. I don't feel like Void Rollins are that good. Like the problem with Void Rolling is that it's very strong, so you need to respect it from the start, and you can't really open Reaper Expand as much as you used to, and like you have to change the meta a little bit. I think that's a strong point of Void Ray. But like the all-in itself, it's not that strong. It's very good, but it's not unbeatable for sure.
I don't know if Baby Marine is still with us. Can he hear us at this point?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we're
What do you
just
think
having
of
some
Void
issues
Race?
with the camera. Because you were already talking in the beginning of the show about Void Race. So why don't you just talk to us about Void Race and what makes it so hard to beat them?
You know, Kevin, Void Rays are very good, and hello there, it's me. You know, Kevin, Void Rays are fucking broken, and especially in PvZ, yes, they use them a lot. They use them way too much, and it feels like a slot could play Void Race all day. So,
For
I mean,
sure.
nothing special about Void Race. You know, you know my feelings about them.
You know, this time I was convinced I could hear Rainer before I saw him. But I was like, I felt like I heard him before. And what are you doing here, mate?
You know,
Go away.
yeah, everyone keeps saying we have the same voice, so I wanted to
Yeah.
test, and yeah, you kind of fell for it. I feel like.
I fell for it, but that's only because before I actually was convinced I heard you and then I didn't hear you. So I was like, nothing changed there. But
Okay,
all
okay,
right.
I'll give you back
No,
the
no, no,
other
no.
guy.
Actually, now that you're
Oh, you
here,
have a
we
question
kind of
for me? Oh shit.
yes, we do have a question for you. Why don't you, Cobra, my good friend, go ahead and bring up the DreamHack Masters groups real quick? And
That's good.
yeah, so you can actually talk about your own group before you can throw the microphone back to your little bro. Because we are going to preview the groups. DreamHack Masters is starting today. It's actually starting in like 3 hours. And that's why we have to keep the show real short, because I have to do rehearsals for that too. I believe this is a premiere announcement. You won't get this anywhere else on this planet. I believe today it's Zombie Grub, the Muslim, and myself. So there you have it, guys. A little Pylon show. Breaking news. Reina, you are in group, what is it, C?
Hey, I think.
A.
Yeah.
Ah, see. All right, so you're in the very first group. Those are the groups of NA, but we'll talk about those later. So Reina's group in the DreamHack Masters Europe is Gongfu, Arstem, Cass, Christiana, Mana, Showtime, and Sort of. A lot of these guys have something in common, but I'm not quite sure what it is.
They're all toss.
They're all very skilled.
What did you think when you saw your group, mate?
Yeah, I'm kind of happy. Even in the interview, I was asking for Protoss players because I'd rather play toss players than CVZ against Vanya and the other guys. You know, I feel more confident against us, and yeah, I feel like PVZ is a very strategic matchup at this moment. And yeah, I think my PVZ is good enough. It's kind of boring to play it all day, but yeah, I don't mind playing it in tournaments.
It is a feisty group, though, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Usually, I'm the luckiest one in the group drawings. I think because I usually get the easier group, but not this time. This time the group is kind of rough, I would say.
So your opening matches today? Oh, you've got Cass. Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
Papa
Puppy
Cats, man.
Cass.
It's gonna be rough.
The macro machine.
The heavy eater of the group, right off the bat, first day.
I hope he 3-rexes you.
Me too.
All right, Rainer, thank you very much. Statfast, when you saw
All right.
Group A.
See you guys. Bye bye. I'll give you the
Alright.
baby marine back.
All right. When you saw the groups, I actually feel that Group A is proper tough, man, because obviously it always works in like seedings of 2, right? Where you have like the 2 heavy favorites, then you have 2 good guys who could make it, and then 2 decent guys that hang in the group, and then 2 players that made it through the qualifiers, or like 4 technically. But I look at this group and I'm like, damn, like Gong Fu, obviously no slouch, did very well last season. Harstem, absolutely no slouch. Also, I feel like generally underperforms a little bit in DreamHack, but we know what the captain is capable of. Christianer, whew, I actually think he's getting pretty damn scary and good at this point. Mana is a heavy underperformer of last season, but we know how good Mana normally is. Showtime, Reina, like damn, what a group.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most interesting groups. I think this and Group C are my favorite groups to look at because uh Gung Fu Panda, like you said, hitting really, really strong right now, but I would say his biggest strength right now is probably PVT. So he probably wanted to have more than just Koss in his group. Like you said, Raynor, well, I mean Raynor he's Raynor. So like this is really, really strong for him. Stylistically speaking, in all these PvPs, though, we're going to see some very, very funky stuff, I think. And I'm really looking forward to it. I personally, I actually have Harstem coming out second in this group. I think he can do it. We saw what he can do with prep time in the series versus Showtime in the lower bracket, and he gave Showtime a ridiculous run for his money. Like he really, really brought that down to the wire in DreamHack Masters Summer. So I'm really looking forward to see what he can do with this group. I think like you could look at I feel the same way about Group C. You could look at like 2nd to 6th, and you could shuffle those names around very, very easily. Like it could finish anyway, I think. That being said, sort of having to focus mostly on just Protoss players, maybe he can pull a miracle run. Like, you know, he's got some very good late game, and we got to talk about those mechanics. You know,
Baby Marine, now that you're actually back, how
Yeah.
well do you think your brother is going to do in Group A?
I think he's gonna get first place, of course, and the Showtime second. I think Harstem maybe third, and Gunfu fourth. That's my guess.
That would be the second season in a row that Mana doesn't make it into the playoffs, and I have a hard time believing that Mana is
Yeah.
not ultra fired up after that last season. I think that was the first time ever he didn't make it into the playoffs. I think Mana still got it, guys. I think he's very good.
Yeah, actually, it's a very tough group to guess. I think there are many good players, that can make it to the playoffs.
What do you think, Alexi? Mana playoffs?
I don't know. I feel like Mana is the only one bad in PvT right now. So when he's bad in PvT, I feel he's good
No,
in
I'm
PvP
bad.
and PvZ.
I'm bad in PvT too, mate.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, is that possible, man? What the fuck? Don't need to debug?
Well, you know what? If you imagine like one little guy with just 2 blades, right, fighting another dude with a machine gun and drugs in his arm, like you start figuring out how it's possible.
Maybe you have some laser beam air units that can help. I don't know. You have a lot of things.
I'll give
Maybe
those a
some
try.
battery. I don't know. Like, yeah, I feel Mana is pretty good. If I had to guess, I would say like Renner on Showtime top 2, and then Mana Arstem, I guess. Christianer is pretty good in PvT, but I don't know of his other matchup. He's a cheeky guy. Papikas is Papikas, and sort of I feel like even though he's pretty good at the game, when it comes to ZVP, he's always losing. So I don't trust sort of on this one.
I think it's going to be hard for Mr. Mechanics. We'll go ahead and hop into Group B because we can spend 10 minutes on every group. Bly, Clem, Gerald, Goblin, Max Pack, Skillless, Stefano, and Strange. That's quite a group, Statfest.
A lot of pros.
yeah, we got a lot of Protoss in these first 2 groups. Very heavy. I'm really looking forward to seeing if Max Pax can repeat what he did in the previous season, because he what did he come second place in DreamHack Summer in his group. Like
in his group, yes,
he showed up really, really strongly. And I talked a little bit like stylistically the PvP is different in Group A, but in Group B, like they are so different. Those are players with very distinct personalities in their play. And that's going to be really cool. Of course, Clem going to be looking to top that group, and I think he's the easy favorite, but that doesn't mean it's going to be an easy group for him. Bly is going to have a lot of weird stuff prepared for all of his opponents. And then Stefano, he does the same thing that Masa does, where he, doesn't play for forever, and then he comes back for like 2 weeks, and he's like, okay, I'm like 95% as good as I was when I won everything. And you're like, how is this possible? And he's just like, I don't know. I'm a doctor. You're like, what do you mean? It doesn't make sense. Like, he's so good. For me though, it's got to be Clem, Max Pax, Gillis in third. And then I'm gonna give some love to Goblin. I'm gonna say Goblin squeaks it out in fourth with some really cool Phoenix play.
You know what I like about Group B is that I can see Bly having a bad group, but I can also see him having a pretty good group. Where, okay, he's probably not going to beat Clem, but I think against every other player in this group, Bly's got a realistic chance of doing weird Bly stuff. And it's been a while since we've seen peak Bly, but I hope that he can just show us some madness one more time and a couple of crazy builds. Baby Marine, when you look at Group B, are you ready to see Clem get Void Ray all in and take some notes?
Yeah, I think I should take some notes, but I hope he's not gonna lose. I don't think he's gonna lose, but Proxy Void Ray is still very good. So yeah, we'll see. I guess. I don't know how his TVP. I saw the APT Cup. He won against every Protoss. So yeah, we'll see. I guess. I think he's gonna get first place also. Yeah.
What do you say, Marino? First place, Clem?
Yeah, I think. I love this group, to be honest. It's like only PvP, so they will hate the game. Then they have Stefano, who will come to late game. They have Clem, who is the best player, and they have Bly. So like they're gonna hate the game. I love that.
Yeah, I think Group B is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about Group C quickly then. Denver, Laser, Hero Marine, Lilbao, Drogo, Euthermal, Vanya, and Ziggy. What are your first thoughts about Group C, Marine?
I think that's the most even group. This one is very cool. I think anyone have a chance except Ziggy, I guess, to be honest. But even Ziggy, like I think he won't go 0-7. I think maybe he will go like 1-6 or 2-5. He stands some chance against some people that have some like, I would say, like, for example, Lilbo is pretty much always playing the same opening. So maybe Ziggy can find something and pull out a win. Same against Denver, I feel. So I would say this group is super fun. I will favor obviously Gabe and the Laser. I guess Drogo and Uthermal too, but I feel like any of those can lose too. So I don't know. This one is very fun.
I fully agree. What do you think, Baby Marine?
Yeah, I agree with Marilord, but I think Ziggy. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna win against Denver. It's gonna be pretty tough for him. So yeah, maybe he can win against Lilbo, but the others, I am not sure about that. And I think Hero Marine is gonna get first place, and yeah, maybe Euthermal second place, a Laser third place, and fourth. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe Petit Drogo. I don't know.
What do you say, Statfast Group C?
Yeah, this is gonna be the most exciting group to watch. It's got, I think, yeah, this and Group D have the best racial balance in terms of distribution. The players, like, this could literally be almost any player could beat any of the other players in some of the matchups. I think yeah, Ziggy is definitely on the outside looking in, but and Hero Marine, I would say, is still a little bit of the favorite because he's just been so solid. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for this group to be like coming into Saturday and Sunday of next week for 7 spots to be still up for grabs, and like for that last day for every single map to matter so much. It's gonna be this one's gonna be, in my opinion, easily the most exciting group to watch. And yeah, that didn't really say much, but I'm just excited about it as a fan, you know?
I'm with you guys, because I can see Vanya having a good group, but I can also see him having a really bad group. And then with Lil Val, I think it's kind of fun to have like the mystery factor of Lil Val, like the X factor, he's back. We've already seen him beat Clem in a weekly, so clearly his PvT is good. But then what Marino says, there's probably some truth to it, that he sticks to the same openings very often. And then Ziggy is someone who can absolutely throw a curveball. Proxy a couple buildings, go for some weird-ass one-base all-in that you're not supposed to do, but if your opponent doesn't know that it's coming, they don't find it immediately. I think Gabe and Laser are supposed to be the favorites, But I have to say that I was a bit impressed by Laser last season. He played even better than I thought he would. But then I look at this group and I'm like, I guess he should take second, but can I see Lilbao get an upset victory against him? Yes. Can I see Drogo beat the Laser? Yes. Can I see Euthermal beat the Laser? Yeah, I think that's possible too. And maybe even Vanya in some crazy best of three. So I'm with you guys. I think Group C is going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. I think Ziggy's obviously going to have a very, very hard time, but I can see him getting 1W against one of the Protoses. Like some weird one-base all-ins, who knows. That brings us to Group D, where we've got the comeback, the return almost of the great Jonas Sutala. We haven't seen a whole lot of him. He's going to duke it out with Shadone, Soul, Milky Cow, Marine Lord, Lambo, Hellraiser, and DNS. Baby Marine, how well is Marine Lord going to do in Group D?
I don't see Mariller play very often, but I think he's gonna advance, honestly. Like, I could place him third or fourth, because I think Sarah is gonna get first place and Lambo second. So yeah, I'm not sure about third and fourth. Maybe third Marie Lord and fourth Soul, or I think I'm gonna go with that, I guess. But also I don't know. I think DNS and Shutdown are also pretty good, so it's gonna be tough for the Terrans also, I think.
Steadfast, what do you think of Group D, and how well is Marine Lord going to do?
Well, I'll answer that in two parts. I think, first of all, I just want to point out Lambo made a very funny tweet recently being like, oh, I finally got top seed in the group, and I still somehow ran into Yuna. What is this? He's had him in the same group over and over and over again, even with Lambo getting super consistent. Cyril's insanely tough. And where Lambo really showed his strength last season was in the prep. And that's how he had that just damn amazing run that he did, which is awesome to see. But you're not going to go through that level of prep, I think, and show some of your crazier builds in the group stage. So I still think Cyril is the favorite here. Lambo can definitely upset and take down first, but I think you're looking at Cyril and Lambo as 1-2 most likely. And then I think Marine Lord is going to have a good showing. His TVT is really good. I'm a little bit interested, and obviously you can talk about this because you're up next, and you'll be talking about like your own play. But I'm interested to see how you'll do against the two French Protosses, who are a little bit like on the up and up, or well, maybe not on the up and up, but on the outside looking in would be a better way of putting that. Because you would probably play them a lot in the underdogs, yeah? Have you played them
from time to time? Not often. Like Shadow, I didn't play him this year. DNS, I played him once, I think.
Oh, fair enough. Never mind. Throw that out the window. Yeah, so that's a complete enigma. Milky Cow. I'm glad to see him make groups. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully he can show some good games and take some surprises. But I think it's, for me, this is Lambo, Cyril, or Cyril, Lambo, then probably Soul and Marine Lord. I'm really excited to see what Shadowne can do, though. He's a very, very good player, and I think he's super underrated.
Alexi, what were your first thoughts when you saw that you were into Group D?
I mean, I had Cyril, so he's a seed 2, so it feels a little bit bad, but also Lambo is seed 1, so like it's not I'm getting a Raynor and a Cyril, right? So I was pretty much okay with it. I don't have too many Protoss, it's pretty even. I feel like it's a pretty fun group, to be honest. I think Soul and me in WCS usually it's pretty even. So that could be an important match. DNS did a very good season last season. But then again, I don't know. Like I feel like last season I played pretty bad in TVP. I felt pretty lost. So when I was going into the match, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna play and whatever happens, right? But right now I'm feeling like if I play my best, I know what to do and I know how to do it. And I know I should win in theory, you know? So like even if I don't get the best out of my build, I still know like in what situation I am and how I can make the best out of it, right? Last season I didn't have that, so I feel like right now I'm pretty good in every matchup. Obviously I have Serral and Lambo as Zerg, so they are very good and it's gonna be pretty hard. Especially Serral, obviously. He's my main practice partner and I don't know,
Really?
Yeah, like he's the only one collecting in the morning, so we are playing pretty much every morning. And he's not very nice to me. I'm like usually I test every build that I have on him, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty good, this is pretty bad. So he pretty much knows everything about me. So yeah, it's very hard, but he's a best of 3, so maybe I can do it. And then Lombo, I think Lombo is gonna win against everyone except Serral, and then maybe me and Sul have a chance against him. Like we are not favored, but it's pretty close. So maybe we can upset Lombo. And then Sul, I don't know. Like I would say he's the third or fourth best player in the group, but his TVP is very weird, kind of like mine. I don't think he's gonna win against Lambo and Serral, and in TVT with me, it's pretty close. So I don't know. It's a pretty wild group, to be honest, for this like first 6.
I'm really happy to see Milky Cow indeed make it back to the DreamHack Masters again. Last season, I feel like he had a couple of really good games, but he didn't win any series, and then it does kind of suck. And now I look at this group, and I'm like, poof, that's it's gonna be another tough one for Milky Cow. He's got that annoying level where I feel like he's too good for a lot of the community tournaments, but then when you enter the big leagues, then all of a sudden you're the underdog against pretty much everyone. I hope that the young Russian can keep on improving. I think it could be definitely a fun one. DNS had a monstrous run last season, or at least in the group stage, he was fantastic. And it was really fun actually. It wasn't just like the games were fun. Every DNS interview I feel at the actual DreamHack was super fun. He just seemed like in such a good, happy mood, in a happy place, and yeah, he was enjoying
Typical
himself.
DNS.
Yeah, no, it was fun to see him, man. Like he
that's
came
cool
across
because
so lively.
usually he's doing very bad in WCS. So for once, he had a very good run. So good for him, right?
Yep, good for him. He played well, and it was just good to see him having a lot of fun with it. Those are the groups of the DreamHack Masters Europe. It starts today, guys, in basically 2 hours and a little bit. The format is still the same as last season, where it's like a couple games of Group A, a couple games of Group B, a couple games of Group C. There's obviously a main stream and a B stream. Statfest, are you on today?
I am not on today. I start on Saturday with Grant.
Aha.
Yeah.
Who's doing the B stream today?
I think the Cranky Ducklings are doing like a 15-hour stream. Like they're doing, I think they did Taiwan. Like basically they're doing 4 regions straight, and I don't even that's just insane to me. Like that's and like I cast the ESL Open Cups like every week for 12 hours, and I'm saying that's too much StarCraft.
No, that does indeed sound a little insane to me. But yes, of course, DreamHack is a lot more guys than Europe and NA. We'll cover the groups of NA soon as well. But we also, of course, have go back, Taiwan, the Taiwanese region, which is always kind of fun. I feel when the grand finals happen. Because Nice against Has, that's a good grand finals, and it happens every single season. So if that happens again, you don't want to miss it. Because I don't know how they do it, but it's always a 4-3 either way. Most of the time, lately in favor of Nice, but in the past, of course, Haas has had plenty of victories. But yeah, make sure to take a look at the B streams that are happening. Our next region is Oceania, I believe, where we have a couple of... No, China. Okay, China's fine too. I like China. Where we have time. Basically, I feel like the entire Chinese season is like, can someone stop time? Marine Lord, will time be stopped?
I'm not sure. Didn't he get stopped recently by Protoss? I'm not sure. No?
Last season, he did only win 4-3 in the grand finals against
Okay.
Jishi, but he did win.
Okay, I don't know, like, for me, Time is by far the best player in China. But it's the same for, like, Nice. I think they are both pretty good, actually. I think As is a little bit overestimated because he's very fun and, like, cheeky. But for sure, Nice is underestimated. I think in Europe, will do, like, maybe top 12 or top 16, maybe top 8 sometimes. But he's pretty good, yeah.
I love to hear that because I actually, I mean, like Europe is so tough that it's hard to say that he would always make top 8, right? But I agree with you. I think that Nice is undervalued.
Kind of like a Skillus, I think. Skillus level, like top 12, top 16, pretty good.
Absolutely. Baby Marine, easy victory for Time?
I think, I think Time is gonna win pretty convincingly. And yeah, I also agree with Marilla that Nice is pretty good. So yeah, I think Time is gonna win pretty easily, and that's.
I love
know.
that. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how Jashi or like I don't know these players. That I don't know them pretty well, but yeah.
But they are Protoss.
Actually,
Hey. Might be hard.
True.
You know, Coffee actually participated in the European Pro Tour Weekly on Monday, and he lost against Cuckoo. My little Cuckoo.
And Coffee is pretty good in TVT, so that's a very good performance.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have an eye for these things. Just wait until you see what Baby Marine is capable of next season, Marine.
Thank you, Roy.
Of
He
course. All
picked
right,
the wrong
moving.
race, sadly.
It's okay.
Should have
Those
picked
buffs,
Protoss for sure.
those buffs
Mistakes
will
are made.
come, Marine Lords. Save it for the Muslim stream, okay? All right, we've got Oceania happening as well. I feel like Oceania is actually pretty fun to follow because they have been rotating champs, haven't they, Statfest?
Yeah, I that actually was the first thing that struck me when you mentioned this is that it's a little bit wide open now. We have like Probe, who's been kind of the captain of this region for a while, but Seether is really good. I think T-Bull is on the rise. Demi is a pretty good player as well. One player I'm actually a little bit surprised to see not in here, and he had a bit of a rough qualifiers, was Razorblader. Razorblader's been actually tearing it up in some of the online cups. And so I'm a little bit surprised he didn't make it through here. Honestly, like I look at this and I feel like 5 of these players could actually win the whole thing. I still feel like Probe is going to be reasonably big favorite, but I think Starduck is really underrated. I think the other players I mentioned are really underrated. I think Ranger could probably come could get out of his group, but Mio Mike is such a weird player in ZVP. That's going to be tough for him. I think this is going to be a lot more of an interesting region than people think because realistically, people, for the most part, they kind of like if you're not from that region, you're less likely to watch it. But if you're going to watch more StarCraft, I would say this is probably the region to look at. You know, this is the one that has the most interesting storylines, the most open.
Mio Maika is the legendary Maru Slayer, right?
That
I think,
is.
yeah.
No, I actually like Oceania, and I think that sometimes in the European and even in the NA region, they talk smack to Oceania, but there are legit a couple players that are 6K on the NA that don't actually even qualify for the Oceania DreamHack Masters. So it really does say something about the level that most of these guys have. I think Probe, you can say he's the favorite, but I think he's really going to have to work for it. I know he's the reigning defending champ, but it is not going to be a walk in the park for him. And I believe that we can also talk about the DreamHack NA groups for a split second. That would be fun. Nope, that's Europe. There we go with NA. I actually haven't even seen these groups yet. I did follow the close qualifier, but I haven't actually seen the groups yet. I see Marine Lord, you gotta be pumped about Group B.
Not really, no.
Why is that, Marine
Because
Lord?
PvP, I don't know, like, I don't know. Like, I don't really never watch this NA tournament, so I guess, yeah, Group B, okay, no Terran, I didn't see. I mean, Protoss is pretty good and it's pretty easy to play, so perfect for NA player. Megalul.
Steadfast. You followed the close qualifiers as well. I think we had a couple of upsets there. Obviously, not seeing Future in this tournament is crazy. I gotta say, Sempus Terran looked good, man. I'm happy that he's back to Terran. And I feel that maybe he's not as good yet as he once upon a time was, but he looked pretty damn good to me.
I actually wanted to bring that up. Semper returning to Terran is so good. Like, we, as much as Marine Lord's memeing, we've got too many Protoss players over here. We don't have enough Terrans. We don't have enough Zergs. We need people to play the hard races. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to getting canceled for that. No, but like, there's been such a crazy rise of Protoss players in NA. It's really nice to see a player like Semper return back. And come back and make a really great run. And speaking of returning players, Antis, it's awesome to see him recovering from what he's had some wrist injuries. So for him to see him come back is really awesome. In a weekly cup for the Exxon Cup, he actually beat Zest like a couple of weeks ago, 2-1. And the games were a little bit funky, but like it wasn't as though, you know, he 12 pool drone rushed him every game. It was like they went macro and like Antis beat him. Like he beat him. And yes, it was with a ping advantage, but it's NA to Korea, which is not like debilitating. It's playable. And obviously, you know, I'm not going to be picking Antis every time to beat Zest, but I think that's enough to say that in a group of 5 Protoss players, he's going to be a huge threat.
Yep, Nemchar also making it back in, but he was almost out in the qualifier. Pure Legacy had a 2-1 lead over him in the deciding qualifying match, but he turned it around. It's good to see Nemchar back, but I feel like it's not the same Nemchar as we had in the European scene like a year and a half or 2 years ago. Because I feel like if that Nemchar would have stuck around, he should be doing real well in NA, and instead he's barely qualifying. So I think it's safe to say that his interests are elsewhere. But hey, maybe he gets fired up and maybe he goes back to practice and he can actually show us what he's truly made of. Baby Marine, are you excited for any of these NA Terrans? Maybe a Vindicta, a fellow youngster?
Yeah, I think he's gonna. It's pretty tough for him. I think Trigger is not that bad. Astrea is very good, and Scarlet. Maybe he can get fourth place, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Marino, since the man plays a lot on the European server, the man I'm talking about is Disc. Do you think that Disc is now not just like, oh, he's good, but he's one of the top dogs in the NA region?
Top dogs, I'm not sure, but he's definitely like top 6, I guess. I don't know Trigger. Nina, I don't know either. Like, I know she's doing pretty good in NA, but I never play against her. I play against Nib and Astrea. Like, to punish European Protoss, I only play with NA Protoss. Even if they are American, they're still pretty good. And yeah, Scarlet is obviously very good. So I would say, obviously, Scarlet, Nib, and Astrea are top 3. Then in terms of skill, I would say maybe Disc is top 4. And then I'm not sure. Obviously, the Can is top 5, right? And then 6th place, I'm not sure.
You know, last season, what was kind of cool, or basically the last year, is that Australia, Scarlet, and Neep all won an edition of the DreamHack NA Masters. I think that's kind of cool. So all of them got one W on the board. I believe Neep was the first one to win it this year. So he is the reigning champ coming into our second season. But, you know, I gotta say, Statfast, I like casting the NA games. Because sometimes the European games, you have some of the beatdowns, because they're always like, oh, let's watch Cero. And it's like Cero versus Milky Cow. And I'm like, well, I wonder what's gonna happen. You know, I love Milky Cow, but this is gonna be a tough one. But then some of these crazy PvPs or PvTs we've seen in the NA region, I feel like NA deserves a little more love than what Marine Lord is giving it.
Oh, I agree 100%. It's a wacky region for sure, but like I wouldn't trade it, you know? Like there's some really underrated matchups. For example, M. Canning, I know that he's probably the easiest one to recognize here. He actually puts up some really good, entertaining games as well. You mentioned we talked about Semper. I think he has a really good shot of making it out of his group. Nina has such a cool micro-oriented style that's going to be fun. And one player who we're going to be seeing a lot of very NA type stuff from is Rob. We're going to be seeing so many cannon rushes in this group. Like I think we might see half of his games as cannon rush. Do you think that's a hot take? Or is that like, am I saying too low? Like is it going to be more than half?
I guess against the Zergs, we'll definitely see a couple cannon openings and maybe in PvP as well. Okay, I think in Group B, what you can predict is that we're at least going to have a cannon rush versus cannon rush game, and then they both are like, oh, we're both cannon rushing, now we go home, and now we just expand or something. I think that's going to happen once. Yeah, Rob is a fun guy, he's a wild card. I do feel sad for Epic. Would have been obviously good for the tournament to have another Terran enter. And I do think Epic is legitimately a very good Terran player if the motivation is there. I know he's been like away from the game a couple times, but it would have been cool to see Epic make it to the DreamHack Masters. But Rob and his Void Race shattered the dreams. Baby Marine knows all about shattered dreams because of Void Race.
Yeah, honestly, I think if he had all of the 3 Terrans in his group, he would have advanced. I am not joking. I think, like, really.
Vodre, is that good? Nice to know.
Now, I really actually want to see a best of 3 between Marino and Rob. Maybe we can make that happen when DreamHack is over. I want to see Marino get Void Raid a couple times. All right, so that's going to do it, obviously, for our DreamHack preview once more. That's all starting today. Europe, obviously, in the afternoon. Oceania and China probably already on the way because that starts real early. But we had to figure out a time slot for the Pylon show this week eventually. I'm excited overall. Excitement factor, stat fast on a scale of 1 to 10. How pumped are you to get going with the DreamHack Masters?
Oh, I'm like a 12. Like I'm just through the roof, and I took some time off work for in order to cover the B stream, and it works out really well because I don't start casting until Saturday. So I'm gonna be hitting the books real hard to really get as much knowledge as I can. Figure out who's gonna be the favorites. Doing some research. I'm gonna be watching you guys on the main stream for the next couple days as well as that B stream, and I'm excited for great StarCraft. Like really groups A and C in Europe, and then I honestly think both the groups in NA are pretty interesting too. I it's a great time to be a StarCraft fan. Like it's really really good matches overall.
Yep. The sick thing is that it runs 6 out of 7 days, and then the one day that it doesn't run, you've got the European Pro Tour weeklies on the Monday. So it's like, all right, if you guys want more StarCraft, well, the next few weeks, you'll be served. There's going to be a lot of StarCraft. We take a look at a little overview here. Obviously, we didn't show any love yet to the Latin American region, but that also happens in the very first week. So we'll wrap that up this week. Here are the two groups. Special, Jim Rising, Chem, Ryu, Eric, Kalazur, Nano, and Terran. Terran had some good games, by the way, last season, so I hope that he can show us what he's made of. And of course, Latin America, I feel like as long as nobody else other than Special wins, you're like, nobody cares. Last season, though, we did have some crazy upsets. We had Chem, who went over to Korea and not make it out of the group, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then Jim Rising had such a great run. Eric, for the first time in forever, defeated Kalazur, so he actually made it to the grand final. I don't know if you followed that, Marino, but last season, Latin America was pretty wild.
I didn't follow closely, but I looked at the result and I saw some game. Not from the final. I think I saw Kelazir against Eric, actually. And I took a quick look at Sham against Jim Rising to see how it went. I don't know, this region is pretty fun, to be honest. But yeah, usually when it's closer at the top, like when it's special, not winning everything, but he's winning most of the time, so it's funnier. But I think he lost one season, no? Like recently.
No.
No? Didn't he?
definitely-
Like lose
no.
2 seasons ago?
It
Cham?
might have been like a year and a half ago to Kelazur.
Oh, really? Oh,
but
that's-
it's been a
alright.
while. It's been a while
Okay,
since he has.
Then he's always winning, so good job to him, I guess.
As
Papi is
far
very
as I
good.
know, he's been always winning. I can't remember a season where
I
Special
think I
did
remember one
not
season
win.
where he lost. To
I want
Sham.
to look it up now. To Champ?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think Sham won one season, no? Let's see.
I thought it was
Look it up.
Kelazur, but I don't know.
Really?
That's reaching back like a couple
Maybe.
years, I think. Yeah.
No, he didn't. Yeah, Sham didn't win. So maybe Kelazir. Or maybe I'm just lying.
I think he's just lying, man. Like,
Yeah, I'm just lying, I think. Maybe Sham sent special to lose a rocket, no? I'm not sure. I think special won.
Maybe, yeah, that could have happened once, but Special won all 3 editions last season. So
Is he leaving
summer,
currently?
fall, and winter. Yeah, a couple 4-0s in there
Yeah,
and stuff.
I don't
so- It's okay, Marino. You try to hype it up, and we'll
Yeah.
appreciate
Guys,
it.
look at it. Especially he's not always winning. It's amazing.
No, last season was kind of fun. We had some fun prediction games because apparently in like 70 official games, Jim Rising had won like 5 games against Special. And then people are like, all right, Roddy, what's your prediction? I'm like, well, it's going to be obviously a 3-0 because, he never takes a map. Maybe 3-1, but there's no way. And then like for the first time in forever, for the first time in history, actually, Jim Rising took 2 maps in a best of 5 of Special. But I have to admit, even at that point, I still don't believe. I'm just like, Juanito will be fine. And he was fine in the end. But yeah, obviously, first week, guys, Latin America. That finishes up on Saturday. And then Sunday is a short day in DreamHack. And then next week, you're going to have the DreamHack Masters Europe after Oceania and China. And then in the evening, you've got NA. It's going to be a lot of fun. What else do you got for me, Cobra?
I think that's about it.
He's talking to me. Oh my god, he is talking to me. Well, guys, then I think we actually did all right. An hour and a half, little preview of the qualifiers, a little hype of the actual main event. Baby Marine, you already said in the beginning that the qualifiers didn't totally go your way because you lost to Void Race. What does a player of your skill level do when something like that doesn't go your way? Like, is it very disheartening? Do you just go to the ladder immediately? Do you make a plan for the future? Like, how do you deal with this kind of stuff?
Honestly, after I lost so bad, I was very sad because I knew I could make it. Also because I had a pretty good bracket, I think. So I was pretty sad, but After I lost, like my brother motivated me a bit to practice, and yeah, I'm gonna keep going, and maybe next qualifier I'm gonna qualify because I still practice a lot. So yeah.
Love hearing that. Marine Lord,
Yeah.
are you how pumped are you to get going today?
I'm just gonna try my best and hope I will win, right? Only thing I care about winning, so obviously I'm gonna try my best. And I feel like this season, even if I lose, I know I will give my best because I'm prepared and I'm prepared in every matchup. So I know I won't have like any stupid lose, you know. I will just, if I'm worse, I will lose, and if I'm better, I will win.
You had this one season where you finished top 4, right, of the entire
Yeah.
thing. Was
I mean,
that
that was
fall
a little
last
bit
year?
tricky. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe summer? No, I'm not sure.
Summer would have been the first one.
Oh no, that was the second one, I think.
That would be fall.
Yeah. Okay. Then you're right.
Well, I wish you all the best. You're gonna play
Thanks.
against DNS, but that starts
Yeah.
tomorrow, right, for you?
Yeah, and Serral the next day.
Ooh, spicy.
Spicy start.
All right, Statfast, you already said that you start casting on Saturday, the B stream.
Mhm.
I mean, you look excited. You feel excited. Is there anyone you want to show some love to that you followed in these qualifiers that maybe we didn't talk about today?
Ooh. Yes, there's a couple well, actually, I guess I already gave some love to some of them. Hang on, gotta take a look at these groups again. I was looking at Latin America. One thing that's kind of funny is that all the Brazilians are in the same group in Group B of Latin America, which is just that it's just funny how that worked out because we almost got that last season. I think we didn't talk enough about Disc. But well, I mean, we did talk a little bit about him, which is cool. He's I think he's gonna top 2 his group again. Actually, I think he has that consistency, and I think he's there. One thing that's a little bit unfortunate is that Patty Mac actually isn't able to play his group for Group A of NA. That's a really unfortunate thing.
So
He
what's
had
happening there?
I think he had a scheduling issue that he didn't realize, and so he has to drop out, which extra sucks because you also forfeit the prize money that you made for making it in.
Yeah.
So that's really unfortunate, but it is
Are
one
they
of those things.
gonna
Like,
replace him with someone, or?
Yeah. They said it in the WCS channel. They will find a replacement. I'm not sure how they will do it, but I guess they will make it as fair as possible.
I
That's a
actually think
really
they should
important
just grab the 4 guys who've made it to the qualifying matches and let them play a little tournament. So BioEyes, Epic, Uko, and Pure Legacy. I think those 4 should just duke it out because they all
Yeah.
fell short in the final round.
Yeah,
just a free for all. I agree. 1v1v1v1.
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure about this one.
If we do a free throw, I have a hard time believing that Pure Legacy is gonna win it, guys, because I have the feeling he doesn't have too many friends in that region. So maybe a free throw is not the best option, but I'm sure that DreamHack will come up with something. That's going to be cool. Now, Marino, we have been doing this for like 5 seasons, right? Obviously, this was never the plan. I feel like sometimes people are like, "Oh, I don't like this," like online DreamHack. You guys have to understand that this was never the original plan of the ESL Pro Tour. We were supposed to have a little online challenger and then just the big offline events. Of course, COVID made it impossible. Now, 5 seasons in, Marine Lord, how do you look at this format? And is there something, if you could change one thing, if Apollo walks up to you today and says, "Marine Lord, make my tournament better," what do you change?
I'm not sure. I think like if you speak in like the fairest way possible to make the tournament, I think you can make it more fair. You have 8-player groups, so like most likely if you are the best player of the group, you will make it out. I don't know, like maybe for entertaining purpose, you can change some things and like you can make the group like quicker. But I don't know. I like it this way.
Baby Marine, if you could change
Yeah.
one thing, what would you like to change?
I think like this is I agree with Marie-Lord, and as a VR perspective, I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know what I would change honestly.
Steadfast? Besides putting yourself on the A stream, of course, but that goes without saying.
I will now have 2 entries. Void Race would be what I would change. No, I actually think the format's pretty good. Yeah, maybe I mean, like literally the stuff that I would like to see changed is stuff that I don't think we fully have control over yet. But I'd like to see obviously a balance patch and just more frequent maps. But the maps is already being worked on, and DeMuslim had that cheeky tweet recently being like, "Oh, there's maybe a balance patch in the works." But I don't know if we're ever gonna see that.
I think that was the Muslim dreaming after he had another 7-hour stream where he lost
it was-
against Strange.
I mean, it's official. People said it, so I guess like
I
at the
know.
end of the last season, yeah, they contacted
I
us,
know.
but
I'm
we
just
all
teasing.
basically every Zerg and Terran whined about void rays and battery, but nothing changed. So we can only dream, I guess.
I love it. Like Ben's stream went from a very happy, sweet place to hell just because he lost to Gerald. And I'm like, Ben, it's Gerald, okay? That man has made playoffs of DreamHack multiple seasons in a row. And then people are like, well, I don't think he's like, I don't know if Gerald is good. I can't tell. He's Protoss. And I'm like, Ben, stop it, Ben. And he knows better.
I mean,
All
to
right,
be honest, he's
guys.
playing in the morning, and in the morning it's only Protoss, so
Yeah,
I guess it's getting frustrating for him.
Yeah, and then he's like, yeah, but in the evening it's the same because I look at Hero Marine stream and he also only gets
I guess.
But it's like,
We're trapped.
yes, there are a lot of Protosses on the ladder right now. How is it at your MMR, Baby Marine? It's a lot better, right?
No, not really.
Really?
It's everywhere, Roti.
Really.
Protoss is all the way down.
Like I don't find any Zergs, man. Like I can't, and I have like 45% TVP, and that's horrible for me because I only play against Protoss. You know, I'm trying my best to find some good builds, but still, like I don't know. We'll see if I can improve in that matchup.
You don't need to find a good build. You need to find one build that you like, and then you spam it, and you understand like every possibilities and outcome of it, and then you can become good at it. But it's not the funniest for sure.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Funny, because like for me, it's actually not that big of an issue. Like, there's obviously a lot of Protoss, but like I'm obviously playing a little bit under Ben's level on average. But at my time, I got a nice little mix, man. And I gotta say, whenever I play one game against Kaiji, I much rather play another PvP against 4 Jumi than play against Kaiji's barcode. And when I see that hatchery go up in my main, I know what time it is. I feel like it's mostly a high MMR issue, but apparently Baby Marine.
I don't know. I only find maybe 2 Terrans and then old Protoss, but yeah, I don't know. I think I only find Protoss.
Then you need to get good at it. Go practice more against Protoss. Practice more against Void Rays. Should I against it? But I know it's easy to say.
Yeah, more practice than this. I only play against Protoss ladder. So.
I don't know.
I have one last.
Switch race.
I have one last question for you, Baby Marine, as we have you here now, and it's the first time we have you on the show. How is life as the younger brother of Rainer?
I mean, I'm targeted as the like Rainer's brother, you know. So, but I think it's pretty fine. Like I'm recognized at that, but it's not that big of a problem to me. So yeah, it's not that bad.
No, but I mean more like, is he nice to you in real life? Do you guys talk about StarCraft together and stuff?
No way, he's
kind of
nice.
thing.
No way. Tell us the truth.
I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm a bit stupid because I don't ask him that many tips, but yeah, we don't talk about a lot. Maybe sometimes, but not really. We don't talk a lot in general, so yeah. Maybe he talks more to you, Roti, than me. So
Well, I don't really. I'm not a very big chatter. We have a little talk about the sports and stuff here and there. But for instance, when the DreamHack qualifiers were going on, like your bro is actually pretty invested in your run too. Like he's DMing me. He's like, "Hey, make sure to cast that series of my brother and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." But I mean, that's gotta be cool, right? To have like some family StarCraft connection.
yeah, of course. Even my mom and my dad, like they watch me and they watch my brother every time. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about this. Yeah, I'm honestly very happy.
All right. And in the year 2022, are you gonna put him in his place?
2022 is pretty close, but maybe I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Baby Marine. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day today and joining us. Before we have our
Yeah.
official closing words, we're going to show some love to our big Patreon supporters. This is where Cobra jumps into the show. It's 5 a.m. Cobra is still hanging in there. Cobra, show some love to the people that make it possible for you to be our producer.
Well, thank you very much. Kata just became a Patreon supporter since he did a game show with us and did some observing. We also have Codiferous87, Jerry Wang, and Maker Shane.
Big shout out to the big boys.
Yeah.
And Binker. Give it to Binker too. He's the only $50 Patreon out there.
Blinker, yeah. He's been hanging in with us for quite a while, actually. One of the things that we're thinking about experimenting with, there's a program on Patreon that allows you to become a yearly supporter, and we're trying to debate if this should be something if we should enable, if anybody's interested. Also, we get to make the very first time this joke is being made. If you have any complaints, you can do @Rotterdam08 on Twitter now that he's the official host. This has been a meme for years and years. It's now an official thing. Or the Pylon
I know
show.
it's not. Twitter is not a good way to reach me, mate. I don't check it very often.
I know.
so-
I just had to make the meme because it's or myself, but the best one would be at the Pylon show on Twitter, and that's about it.
All right. You know what? I've been thinking about this. We should record a little advertisement. So instead of
How's that?
having this awkward moment each and every single week, it's like, hi, if you like the Pylon show, please make sure to consider subbing to us on Patreon. We should just one time get together and record an amazing little 1 or 2 minute video. We'll get Rainer in there too. We'll make sure that he does something. Baby Marie makes a little appearance. And then
I like that.
we can just play that. Instead of this awkward moment, we're like, hey guys, if you like it. No one likes doing that. No one likes it. But if you just have click play button, we record something awesome, and we can play that each and every single week.
Okay, I'll work on that for
That's
next week.
fast. You wanna sell out a little bit for us, amigo?
Sure. Well, you might be wondering, how do I support such a great initiative? Well, let me tell you about our Lord and Savior Twitch Prime. If you link your Prime gaming account, or if you, damn it, I'm.
Well, all of that would just go to me, so that's not very good for the
Oh, fair
Pylon
enough.
show. But I do appreciate the
no.
effort as well. All right, guys, it's time for us to wrap it up. We do apologize that it's a slightly shorter show and everything was kind of rushed, but that is because the DreamHack Masters are starting today. By the time that next week comes around, everything will be a bit easier. I also know exactly what time I have to start and when I have to work, so we'll make sure that next week Pylon show, everything will be announced a bit earlier, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about whatever we want to talk about. But I still want to give you guys a massive shout out for joining us. This was all very last moment for these three. So thank you guys so much. Closing words. We'll start off with you, Statfest. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. This is my third time on the Pylon show, and third time is the charm. So, yep, those are words.
You know what I feel, Statfest? It's like in the old days when Jeff and Dan were running the Pylon show. Whenever they had no guest, Jeff would always be like, hey man, hate to do this. Pylon show today, 3 a.m. And I couldn't say no to him ever. So I was like, sure. And that's why I was always an hour in advance. I was like, sure, matey, I'll be there. And I feel like you are me and I'm Jeff now. Where I'm like, I have no guest, that fast. And then you're too nice to ever say no. So I really appreciate you showing up whenever we need you the most. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, you can follow me. I just got my Twitter account up there, with that nice black and white photo. Yeah, you can take a look at my Twitch, I guess. I think it's on there as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to casting the DreamHack Masters as well. Going to be on the B stream with Grant, Saturday, Sunday of this week, and then what other days? Tuesday. Oh, do I have this backwards? It might be, I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday of next week. So I'm really looking forward to that final day on Sunday. That's going to be absolute fire when everyone is just so tooth and nail for that. And then I'll be covering the Exxon Cup Open tonight and then all the weekly cups.
Thank you, mate. Your passion is truly overwhelming. My carrier statue is very proud of you. Looking forward to hearing your cast, and make sure that Grant sticks to StarCraft, okay? I know he's been talking a lot about dwarves and little riflemen shooting spells in WoW, but make sure that he still knows what the actual Novas are. Marine Lord, thank you so much, mate, for joining me. I know that you're not very big on talk shows, but I really enjoyed hearing from you and just hearing your thoughts on these qualifiers. I wish you all the best in DreamHack.
Thanks.
I hope for another top 4 run. That'd be quite something.
Let's hope for a top 1, man. Let's go. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Obviously, what else is happening other than you just playing in DreamHack? Are the next 2 weeks for you just locked in, full focus on DreamHack, or do you still have some other things that you are excited
I
about?
mean, yeah, when I play DreamHack, I play DreamHack. I only focus on that and like having a good day and focusing on the time of my match. That's it.
Any UFC fights you're excited for?
Colby Covington is fun too. It's not very soon. I guess Gan against Davis, but it's not soon either. WCS, man. Only WCS.
This is funny, guys, because basically every single big UFC night, Marino is like, I'm not staying up. And then at 5:20 a.m., he's like, oh my God, did you see that? I'm like, yes, mate, I saw it. I was like, what happened to not staying up? And last but not least, Baby Marine. Baby Marine, thank you so much for joining me also very last moment. How was it? First time on the Pylon show.
Honestly, it was really fun. Like, first time, I enjoyed it. And if you don't have anyone to invite, you can invite me when you want. So it will be a pleasure every time. So yeah, it was honestly really fun, and I enjoyed it.
Those are the words I want to hear. I'm going to take Goblin's salary and move it straight into you, mate.
Yeah.
You know, we should do a Team Ruddy episode once. We should get a little family together. Because Goblin never wants to come. I try so hard, but he's like, oh no, I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it. Oh, I'm getting ready for DreamHack. I'm like, come on, you're never getting ready for anything, Goblin. It's like Cuckoo
Yeah.
and Baby Marine. They are my grinders. I hop on Battle.net. I always see them 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Goblin, maybe he's hiding under a barcode somewhere, but I never see it.
I think if you find him, you will punish him, right? If he's hiding on a barcode.
Yeah, no, I'll let him do whatever he feels like he needs to do for DreamHack. He did make it into the playoffs last season, so I was very proud of him. It would be awesome if he can do that again. Thank you so much. I wish all of you guys an amazing day. That's going to do it for me. I have a couple minutes to eat, and then I have to get ready for my DreamHack rehearsal. So I'm going to give the word to Cobra. But from this part of town, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you,
See you.
everyone. We're going to throw
Bye-bye.
this over to a video that FearDragon has done up explaining how the circuit works. Enjoy.
Into 2 different systems. There's Korea and there's everybody else. Let's talk about Korea first. Korea is mostly about a tournament circuit called GSL, which has been around since the beginning of StarCraft 2. It's a $120,000 prize pool tournament that operates in 3 different stages. First of all, you have the qualifiers that take place over 2 days. We have 16 players that manage to make it into Code A and 4 players that manage to make it into Code S. Code A is a single round best of 5 where 16 players play 8 matches and the winner moves on, the loser gets $2,000. In Code S, you take the 16 players that made it there, stick them into 4 groups of 4, make them play out, top 2 advance, and then you play the rest of it out into a single elimination bracket. The winner of the tournament is crowned the best player in Korea, gets a seed to IEM Katowice, the big global finals that happens at the end of the year. And of course, there's $20,000 for first place and $4K just for making it into Code S. 3 seasons of GSL take place every year, and there's also an accompanying tournament called GSL Super Tournament that is very simple, has some qualifiers, and then a bunch of players play in a single elimination bracket. Now, the non-Korean circuit is broken down into 6 different regional competitions that are based on the strength of each one of those regions: Europe, North America, Latin America, China, Taiwan, and Oceania. All the regions follow relatively the same format where you have a group stage that then moves into a double elimination bracket. Europe and North America both have too many players, so they divided the players into groups of 8 and make them play in a big round robin to see which 4 players are going to advance out from each one of these 4 groups and then make them play in the double elimination bracket. The other regions only have 8 players that manage to qualify for each one of these tournaments, so they have 4 players that are put into 2 groups and play out a GSL style group that then goes into a double elimination bracket where the top 2 advance out from each one of those groups. Prize pools for each one of the regions is also based on the strength of the regions themselves, where Europe has a $74,000 prize pool, North America has a $33,600 prize pool, Latin America and China both have a $14,500 prize pool, and the bottom 2 regions, Taiwan and Oceania, have a $12,200 prize pool. After all the regional competitions have played out, the top players from each one of the respective regions move on to a season finals, which is a $50,000 event where a certain number of players, depending on the strength of the region, advance onto the season finals. We have 4 spots for Europe, 2 spots for North America, and 1 spot for all the other regions except for Korea, which also gets actually 6 spots top 4 players from that season in GSL, and 2 play-in spots for the players that were knocked out in the round of 8 of that season of GSL. The season finals itself plays it identical to GSL Code S, where there are 16 players, 4 groups of 4, top 2 advance, then a single elimination bracket with the remaining 8 players with a $10,000 first place prize and a $1.25 thousand last place prize. Now, during all this, there's also a weekly event called the EPT Weekly, or also known as the Big Gabe Weekly, where a $400 single elimination tournament is run every single Monday or Sunday for North America, Europe, and Korea, each one respectively, totaling to $1,200 per week. Oh, and by the way, every single one of the events that we've been talking about so far are also awarding something called EPT points. What are EPT points? EPT points are a system that we use for 2 things, seeding as well as qualifications. The main purpose of EPT points is to qualify yourself for IEM Katowice, which is an annual tournament that crowns the global champion for the year, even though it takes place after all the seasons have finished up in February the following year. The tournament has a $500,000 prize pool and has 36 players that manage to qualify throughout the year through using a combination of EPT points as well as the winners of regional events. Qualified players for the round of 24 are 3 GSL winners, 3 of the DreamHack season final winners, the top 5 EPT point holders in Korea, the top 8 EPT point holders from the various EPT circuit regions, including 4 from Europe, 2 from North America, 1 from China, and 1 from Latin America, as well as the top point holder across all of the circuit systems if you merge all the point systems together and that player has not been invited yet. Those 20 players are seeded directly into the second stage of the tournament, whereas the next 16 players in each region's point standings go to the first stage, which is also known as the play-in stage, with 7 from Korea, 3 from Europe, 2 from Taiwan, 1 from North America, 1 from Latin America, 1 from China, and 1 from Oceania qualifying to the play-in stage. The play-in stage is those 16 players playing in a double elimination bracket with the top 4 advancing out into the round-robin stage. The round-robin stage is 24 players who are divided into 4 groups of 6, and each one of them play each other with the top 3 advancing. After that, the top 12 players begin a single elimination bracket with the top 4 players from each one of their respective groups being seeded in a single round until a champion is crowned and they win $170,000 for first place. The conclusion of IEM Katowice marks the end of the year for StarCraft and is supposed to crown a global champion that we celebrate as the best player of that year. But throughout the year, there's a lot of other StarCraft 2 events that are happening that are totally unrelated to the circuit, such as the Team Liquid Star League, which boasts a $30,000 prize pool and also awards EPT points. But then there's also other events such as GSL Super Tournament, which awards a $25,000 prize pool. It doesn't actually offer EPT points. There's also a constant stream of community events such as Cheesadelphia, Stay at Home Story Cup, Wardy TV, Lima League, and so on and so forth. If you want to find out more information about any events that are happening right now or coming up, you can head over to TL.net and you can look at that right-hand sidebar that has a calendar of all the events that are happening or coming up. You can also head over to reddit.com/r/StarCraft if you want to post a bunch of memes about StarCraft-related things, and you can head over to twitch.tv/StarCraft and go to the StarCraft 2 category if you want to find most of these events that are happening. And if you found any of this confusing or spotted any errors, head over to twitter.com/Rotterdam08 and tweet at him any of your questions or concerns. Thanks for watching.